Spain 4, Saudi Arabia 0, a statement of European intent delivered on American soil. Welcome to FairPlay, Football AI Review. Group H told a straightforward story after this result, but the manner in which it was delivered was anything but ordinary. Spain did not just beat Saudi Arabia, they dismantled them, outclassed them, and sent a warning to every nation watching from Kansas City to Munich. Before a ball was kicked, the context was clear. Spain arrived at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta already with a point from their opening draw with Cape Verde. 4 points would put them in total command of Group H. Saudi Arabia, sitting on just 1 point after their own opening draw with Uruguay, desperately needed something, a draw at minimum to stay relevant, a win to announce themselves as genuine contenders. Saudi Arabia came into this match carrying real pressure. Their coach Georgios Donis had built a side that needed defensive discipline above all else, but the Green Falcons had conceded 5 times across their qualification run and carried genuine vulnerability against elite pressing sides. Spain, by contrast, had no injury concerns and named a full-strength starting $11, a luxury that underlined just how prepared Luis de la Fuente Castillo's squad was for this moment. Spain lined up in their trusted 4-3-3, a system that De La Fuente has drilled into this squad until it breathes naturally. Unai Simon between the sticks, a back four of Pedro Porro, Pau Cubarsí, Aymeric Laporte, and Marc Cucurella. Rodri anchored the midfield as captain, flanked by Pedri and the dynamic Dani Olmo in advanced positions. Up front, the electric Lamine Yamal on the right, Alex Baena on the left, and Mikel Oyarzabal through the middle as the central striker, a front three capable of dissecting any defensive structure on the planet. Firas Al-Buraikan partnered Salem Al-Dawsari in attack, with Nasser Al-Dawsari and Musab Al-Juwair attempting to press and compete in midfield. The intention was clear: stay compact, frustrate, and hit on the counter. The tactical mismatch was almost immediately apparent. Spain's 3-man midfield of Rodri, Pedri, and Olmo consistently created numerical superiority through the center of the pitch. Saudi Arabia struggled to cope because the moment Spain drew the midfield block inward, Porro and Cucurella pushed high as auxiliary attackers, stretching the Saudi defensive line to breaking point on both flanks. The width of Yamal and Baena meant the Saudi fullbacks were pinned, unable to tuck in and support the central midfield. Space opened everywhere. Spain's control in the opening exchanges was total. Rodri, who completed 245 passes across the 90 minutes, set the tempo immediately, recycling possession intelligently and dictating the speed of Spain's build. Saudi Arabia managed only 3 shots in the entire match, and none of them inside the box, which tells you everything about how little they were able to threaten going forward in the early exchanges. The opening goal arrived in the 10th minute, and it was Lamine Yamal, the teenager who seems incapable of playing a quiet football match, who broke the deadlock. Mikel Oyarzabal found space inside the Saudi penalty area and drove a low cross to the far post, where Yamal had timed his run brilliantly, arriving with pace and precision to turn the ball into the net. 7 shots, including 2 on target, in 46 minutes from Yamal. This was a performance of controlled aggression from one of the best young players on earth. 11 minutes later, Spain made it 2, and once again Oyarzabal was the architect and executioner. Aymeric Laporte, playing with the authority of a man who knows he is the best center-back on the pitch, drove a precise ball forward and picked out Oyarzabal, who finished with clinical composure using his left foot. The Basque striker was in the form of his life, and the entire stadium could sense it. 3 minutes after that, the 24th minute, Oyarzabal struck again. Dani Olmo, in his advanced midfield role, threaded a perfectly weighted ball into the striker's path, and Oyarzabal needed no invitation, placing another left-footed finish beyond Mohamed Al-Owais. 3-0 inside 25 minutes. Spain had become the first nation since Germany in 2014 to score 3 goals in the first 25 minutes of a World Cup group stage match, an extraordinary historical footnote that tells you just how clinical this display was. In the 36th minute, Oyarzabal was denied his hat trick by the crossbar. Alois, who despite conceding 3 had done his best to prevent the scoreline from being even more embarrassing, spilled the ball, and Oyarzabal's thunderous effort from the rebound cannoned off the top of the woodwork. 3-0 at the interval felt like the match was already done, but there was a sense that Spain's hunger was far from satisfied. Halftime arrived with the match effectively over as a contest. Saudi Arabia needed to find a way to at least inject some competitive threat in the second period, and Donis made changes at the interval, Abdullah Al-Hamdan replacing Musab Al-Juwair and Mohamed Kano coming in for Abdullah Al-Khaibari, in search of more energy and creativity in midfield. De La Fuente also rotated, withdrawing both Yamal and Oyarzabal, clearly intent on managing his key men, bringing on Yeremy Pino and Ferran Torres. The fourth goal arrived in the 49th minute, and it came in the most dramatic, deflating fashion for Saudi Arabia. Marc Cucurella's initial effort from a flicked-on corner was met by a superb save from Alois, but the rebound struck Hassan Al-Tambakti and rolled cruelly into his own net. There was nothing the Saudi defender could do, he simply could not get out of the way in time, but it extinguished any remaining flicker of Saudi hope and extended Spain's lead to 4. The substitution of Mikel Merino for Dani Olmo in the 61st minute was designed to add physicality and aerial presence to Spain's midfield. Merino arrived full of energy and took 2 shots of his own, keeping pressure on a Saudi Arabia defense that by now had completely ceased to function as a collective unit. Nico Williams replaced Alex Baena in the same 61st-minute double substitution, and his 29 minutes on the pitch added directness and pace to a Spanish attack that had been slightly more measured since the interval. Williams was not tasked with creating goals at this stage. His job was simply to stretch the Saudi defensive line and prevent any consolidation. The arrival of Fabian Ruiz for Pedri in the 70th minute completed Spain's rotation. Ruiz had 20 minutes to make an impression and did so with characteristic energy, completing 102 passes and generating 5 shots in that final phase. He was nearly part of a 5th goal in injury time when his cross was turned home by Ferran Torres, only for VAR to disallow the effort after a lengthy review. Torres adjudged to be offside by the finest of margins. Football is unforgiving even in moments of plenty. Now let us talk about the possession numbers, because they reveal the story with total clarity. Spain controlled 67% of the ball. More tellingly, they completed 668 accurate passes to Saudi Arabia's 294, a ratio of better than 2-to-1, a 92% pass accuracy compared to 81% from the Saudis underscores Spain's technical dominance in every corner of the pitch. The attacking threat statistics are equally stark. Spain registered 22 shots to Saudi Arabia's 3, and crucially, all 3 Saudi efforts came from outside the box. Spain hit 13 shots from inside the box, 8 on target, and an expected goals figure of 2.42 compared to just 0.11 for Saudi Arabia. The scoreline of 4-0 was, if anything, a fraction generous to the Green Falcons. Defensively, Spain were rarely troubled, but credit must go to Mohamed Alois in the Saudi goal. The goalkeeper made 14 saves across the 90 minutes, a remarkable number that actually reflects both the relentlessness of the Spanish attack and his own personal heroics in preventing an even more catastrophic scoreline. Alois's save count was extraordinary, and his performance was a point of pride in an otherwise desperate afternoon for Saudi football. The standout performer on the Spain side was unquestionably Mikel Oyarzabal. 2 goals, 1 assist, 4 shots on target from 10 total efforts. He was everywhere during that devastating first-half blitz. Even after his substitution at halftime, his influence on the scoreline was permanent. His partnership with Yamal and Olmo created a front 3 combination that was simply too intelligent and too quick for Saudi Arabia to handle for even a single moment of the first period. On the Saudi side, Saud Abdulhamid was the one player who never stopped working. The right back completed 7 tackles, the highest of any player on the pitch from either side, and never stopped competing even as the match was lost around him. His battle with the Spanish left flank was unequal in outcome but not in effort, and he represented what was best about Saudi Arabia's character on a very difficult afternoon. If one player underperformed expectations, it was Salem Al-Dawsari. Coming in as one of Saudi Arabia's most experienced and creative presences in midfield, the captain managed only 2 shots in 90 minutes, both off target, and picked up a yellow card in the 30th minute for serious foul play. His role was to provide composure and spark in the moment Saudi Arabia needed it most, and on this occasion he found neither. Tactically, De La Fuente deserves significant credit for the clarity and bravery of his approach. He did not ask Spain to sit back and protect their opening draw. He asked them to go straight at Saudi Arabia from the first whistle, press high, and use their superior technical quality in every area of the pitch. The double substitution at halftime, protecting Yamal and Oyarzabal ahead of a more demanding test against Uruguay, showed a manager thinking 3 games ahead rather than just chasing records. Donis, meanwhile, was powerless. Historically, this was only the second competitive meeting between these two nations, the previous being a Spain victory at the 2006 World Cup. Spain have now won both fixtures with a combined scoreline of 7-0. There is no rivalry here in the traditional sense. This is a one-way record of European dominance, and this result deepens that historical pattern significantly. Spain's form coming into this tournament has been exceptional. In their last 10 matches, they have won 6, drawn 2, and suffered just 1 defeat, with notable wins including a 6-0 demolition of Turkey and a 4-0 victory over Georgia. This is a squad that has found its rhythm under De La Fuente and carries genuine conviction through every line. Saudi Arabia, by contrast, arrive at this World Cup off the back of a deeply inconsistent qualification campaign, wins over Bahrain, Indonesia, and China PR, mixed with losses to Australia and Indonesia themselves. The draw with Uruguay in their opening group match felt like a creditable result at the time, but this performance exposed the real limitations of the squad when faced with truly elite opposition. Looking at the Group H standings after 2 rounds, Spain sit top with 4 points, a goal difference of +4, and a game in hand over their rivals in terms of authority. Uruguay and Cape Verde both have 2 points from their pair of draws. Saudi Arabia, with just 1 point and a goal difference of -4, now find themselves in desperate need of a favor. The mathematics are brutal. For Spain, the task now is to avoid defeat against Uruguay, a team capable of creating genuine problems through the quality of players like Darwin Núñez and Rodrigo Bentancur. A draw would almost certainly be enough to confirm top spot in the group. For Saudi Arabia, victory over Cape Verde in their final group match is absolutely essential, and even then they will need other results to fall kindly. Their qualification fate is almost entirely out of their own hands. The prediction here is straightforward. Spain will advance from Group H as group winners. Their squad depth, tactical sophistication, and clinical edge in front of goal is simply too much for either Uruguay or Cape Verde to overcome. Saudi Arabia's World Cup, barring a minor miracle, ends at the group stage. They must beat Cape Verde and hope for the best, but their goal difference deficit makes even that scenario extremely complicated. This was a match that told you everything about where Spain are as a football nation right now: relentless, technically brilliant, and tactically complete. A 4-0 result built in just 49 minutes of football, with a host of first-choice players rested for the second half, speaks to a squad operating at a genuinely frightening level of collective excellence. Saudi Arabia were not disgraced by effort, but they were simply outclassed in every department. Thank you for watching FairPlay, Football AI Review. Spain march on, the tournament's narrative sharpens, and next up, the European champions face Uruguay in what promises to be a dramatically different kind of examination. Do not miss it. That's the FairPlay verdict on this one. If you want more analysis like this, follow us, find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at FairPlay AI, and follow Anthony personally on X at Anthony Fairplay. See you next match.